Ferrari are definitely back on form, especially Kimi Raikkonen, who's taken his second straight win with a victory of some authority in this British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Second and third to McLaren, Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton in that third place keeps a pretty healthy lead in the Formula One World Championship table. But your thoughts and your admiration for Kimi Raikkonen today? He really built on what he did at Manicure a week ago.
I think he's done exactly the same job, to be honest, Steve, because where he won this race was outperforming everybody when they were in the pits, and he pushed in those hard laps on the race circuit, and we felt that he was a little bit heavier, and it's played out. And Felipe Massa, don't take nothing away from him, outstanding job in the Ferrari, come from the back in the pit lane, great pace. I think he truly would have been in for a win as well if he'd have been up there.
It was a difficult day for Lewis Hamilton in every respect. I mean, the pressures of the morning and the expectations after that pole position yesterday. One thing he got right was the start, and it was a trademark start from Lewis Hamilton.
He got the start right. He's a little bit aggressive here, but he's got every right to be. He's on pole position, he takes the lead, and he can defend his position there. Kimi Raikkonen actually has to take a little bit of avoiding action, just squeezing him out to the left. But again, everything is going well for Lewis at this point. Just watch the start. Lewis gets off, good traction, just moves over, and then Kimi just goes to the left, and he just has a jink there to the left as well to make sure that there's no problems. But this is where it started, and unfortunately it never finished like that.
Yes, what Hamilton had to do there was get away, and he clearly had problems right from that point on, handling problems, you feel?
Yeah, I think there's some problem there for him, because we see that his pace dropped off consistently throughout that race, and at some stages he was a second a lap slower than Alonso and Raikkonen, so for sure there's something wrong with his car.
The pit stop he came in for was a bit ragged, and maybe this was his first mistake that we've detected in Formula One, although it wasn't of great significance, fortunately.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of pressure maybe getting to him. He's looked at the lollipop, and as the lollipop's moved, he's taken that as his note to actually pull away. But again, his reactions are lightning quick. He didn't make the problem that Albers did with a spiker last weekend. He actually corrected himself, got composed, and back out.
So his attitude in the cockpit had to be just keep calm and salvage what we can.
I think his attitude was the correct one. Knowing that he doesn't have a car to make the win, he's taken it and he's collected points yet again. And yet again, he's on the podium. And, again, let's not take nothing away from the guy. 22 years old, turns up for his first British Grand Prix and he's on the podium. Still fantastic.
And we also saw Fernando Alonso back on form as well. The battle is really joined at the top of that championship.
This is a great World Championship that's developing now, because you're quite right. We've got Hamilton still leading there. We've got Alonso coming through again, and we've got the Ferraris with Raikkonen and Massa. I think we're in for an outstanding finish. Now,
Ferrari tactics, they got it right at Manicure, they got it right once again here today.
They did indeed, and I think Ferrari now are going to be very happy when they go back, and they know that the next race coming along in Germany will also be a favourable one for them as well. McLaren a little bit on their back foot, and again, I'm not quite happy with what Ron Dennis says. He's saying that we have to turn the engines down, there's some problems. Ferrari will really be pointing out that there is an issue with them there, and they'll be taking advantage of that.
Well, he certainly didn't seem to have conceded the race when Kimi went in for his second stop, and it was a bit of a shock the way he got out in front.
Well, again, the race was won by Raikkonen when he was out there on the racetrack, and Alonso was in the pit. He put some outstanding laps in, pushed as hard as he could, and at some stages 4 or 5 tenths a lap quicker than anybody else. Comes out here, and this is where he takes the lead for that final part of the race. And at this stage, Steve, there was nobody going to touch him. He'd done all the work. The Ferrari very hooked up, but Raikkonen as well, now he's at one with that car, and I think we're in for a big thing now to see the rest of the season with these guys.
Well, those are our thoughts on what might have been going on out there. Let's get the full story as we go into the driver's press conference.
Kimi, a fantastic win for you. Effectively won in the middle phase of the race, those 6 laps after Fernando had made his pit stop. You seem to have a relatively free track in terms of traffic, and you took the lead.
Yeah, we had a little bit traffic, but I think so. We had a good car all day, all weekend actually. On the beginning of race, I just was trying to save some fuel and look after my tires and car. And then once Luis pit in, I tried to push and gain some time on him, and that went well. And then Fernando did very short stop, so we knew that we're gonna run longer in the second stop. So we just tried to push as hard as we can once he came in, and it was enough. And after that was pretty easy.
Let's talk about that first phase of the race. Lewis took the lead. You seemed to match him fastest lap for the first few laps of the race, and then it looked as if you could put pressure on Lewis.
Yeah, like I said, we just saved fuel, and then once we knew that we have enough, so I was able to close the gap pretty easily and try to overtake him. But then we were expecting him to stop a bit earlier, so I didn't want to risk too much. So I think so. It worked out pretty well.
Different tyre combinations for all three of you in terms of the Bridgestone hard and soft compound. What was it like from your point of view in terms of the car balance and indeed any other events in the Grand Prix?
I think so was good. Both tyres seems to work very well. For us, didn't make any difference really. I thought that the hard one was very good in the end, but we didn't need to push anymore. But so far everything worked well.
And the British Grand Prix always a special event for any racing driver. Your thoughts on that closing lap? And indeed, on the slowdown lap, the Lewis Hamilton crowd out there, but you spoilt the day for him.
Yeah, it was a very nice feeling, of course, to win the race. We've been close here a few times, so when something has happened, we haven't been able to win. Now, finally, we got the win, and it's one of the nicest races, really. So it's a very nice feeling, and it was a good day.
Congratulations to you, Kimi.
Thanks.
Fernando, well done. Looked like a great bit of strategy for a while there. You took the lead, you got great track position as you started to hit the traffic in that second stint, but of course it was a short fuel stop that enabled you to do that. What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, I think it was not the plan to do that, so we changed the strategy, thinking that we should be able to maintain the lead even in the second stop. So we short fuel in the first pit stop. We start ahead of Kimi the second stint, but I was not able to open a gap that was big enough to maintain the lead. So I think was the right thing to do. We took the gamble, and you never know what is gonna happen. But as you said, a little bit of traffic, especially when I begin my third stint. So after the second stop, those 6 laps that Kimi had more fuel than me, I was not able to do a normal pace. So I think the Ferrari was a little bit too quick today, and at the end I think the result will not change in too much. I think second place was the maximum today.
Where do you think the difference was between McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari today in terms of performance, in terms of speed on the lap?
We would like to know that. I think I don't know, maybe we lack 2 or 3 tenths a lap in same conditions, in same fuel loads, and that was I think all weekend has been like that, and so the race, no surprises. Ferrari a little bit too quick. Maybe I don't know, to win the race, maybe the only chance was to start maybe in pole position and open a gap or something like that, and was not the case. So I think was the maximum.
And if I can just ask you about that incident with Alexander Wurz and Scott Speed when you were lapping them.
Yeah, I had some difficulties today lapping people, and the blue flags were not perfectly okay, but sometimes they helped me when Kimi was behind them, and he was not able to overtake them as well. So at the end of the race, I think it's quite equal and quite balanced, the downsides and the upside. So I'm happy with the second place. It's better to win, but today I think it was not possible.
Congratulations to you. And Lewis, well done on that 9th consecutive podium finish. Led from the pole, looked fantastic for a while, and then you take over now.
Yeah, well, we had an interesting race. It started off quite well. We got a good start, which was the key. And at the beginning, I was just trying to pull a gap from Kimi, but obviously he was extremely quick. And towards the end of my stint, my tyres were falling away, and I was struggling to keep up the pace. And Kimi started to be able to put pressure on me. However, we did the pit stop. I made a mistake in the pit stop. I didn't hesitate, but I thought that the lollipop was lifted, and I went, and I think I don't know how many seconds I lost through there, but it was a mistake of mine which lost me quite a bit of valuable time. And then I just had to try and push, and then I just struggled with the balance. Throughout the whole weekend I've been struggling to perfect the balance and sort of driving around the issues that I had with the car. But obviously qualifying went well, and we just lacked the pace, I think, in the race. And I don't know what happened in the last 2 stints. The last stint was a bit better, but I was very consistent, but just didn't really have the pace of the Ferraris.
Well, as we said, there are 3 different tyre combinations between the 3 of you. You finishing on the softer of the Bridgestones. The other guys at that point were on the harder of the 2. How significant do you think the tyre choice was today?
I think it played quite a big role in, obviously, especially at the beginning, with Kimi being able to keep up with me, the softer tyre being perhaps just slightly faster. And you know, for me, we wanted to start with the softer tyre, but we thought it was too much of a gamble due to the tyres going off too quick. So we started with the prime, but obviously I thought that the last stint was perhaps the best for me in terms of the stability of the car. But you know, we came away with the points. It's my 9th podium, so I'm very, very happy for that, and happy for the team to get the 2 points for the points from me and Fernando. So it was good.
And what was the slowdown lap in front of the crowd like for you?
It was good. I must say thank you to all the fans. They've been tremendous this weekend. Really, without their support, you know, it would have been a much harder race. And so I knew they were with me all the way. And you know, we have to wait and see. Hopefully next year here we'll give it another shot. Well done, Lewis. And Kimi, if I could return to you for final thoughts. A great win, 2 great wins in a row now for Ferrari and for you. It looks as if you have the edge. Championship's not over yet.
Hopefully not. You never know. It's gonna be long season still. We seem to have a good speed right now, but I think so it depends a lot also on the circuit conditions and places where we go. But I'm pretty happy now with the car. All weekend being good. I just had a mistake yesterday what make our life much more difficult what it should have been really in the race. But in the end we came out with a win, so that's the main thing. The guys did a great job in the pit stops, being able to stay ahead of the guys. So I think so we had a pretty good weekend, and we try to improve the car again and go and try to do it the same next week or next race.
So Ferrari pretty happy. A further thought from the McLaren point of view comes from Martin Whitmarsh now, and you would no doubt endorse what Ron Dennis was saying, that second and third was just about as good as you could produce today.
Yeah, I think it was. Ferrari was very strong. I think after the expectations of that great qualifying lap by Lewis yesterday, inevitably there's a sense of some tinge of disappointment. But we've got to remember, we're 9 races now into the season. Lewis has had a podium at every single weekend, which is a fantastic result. We leave here obviously a little bit disappointed by the strength of Ferrari. Both of our drivers did a fantastic job. We've got a 25-point lead in the Constructors' title. There's a long part of the season to go. We're going to be fighting on every race. So I think it's going to be a great season.
Yes, all the excitement of qualifying yesterday. We talk a great deal about how those sort of pressures mount up around Lewis, but when you get that sort of euphoria around a race circuit, what's the impact on the team as well?
Well, I think it was just fantastic. You know, to have that crowd, that real adrenaline, you could feel it from the grandstands. It's unusual. You know, normally we've got headsets on, we can't hear what's going on, but suddenly you hear that eruption. It's just fantastic throughout the whole team. You know, Lewis is doing a fantastic job, and his Fernando today. He's been, you know, he was really strong today, and we just didn't quite have that pace. So, you know, we'll regroup, we'll be improving the car, and come Germany, we'll see what we can do.
Is that the way you might have read it ahead of the race? What were your genuine expectations before the start?
Well, we always come to win, but Ferrari have looked strong. They looked strong here in the test, so we knew it was going to be tough. Both of our drivers performed well throughout qualifying, and you know, in the race they can only do what we can do as a team. I think we, you know, with hindsight, we had a bit of traffic, we can go through all those, but in reality Ferrari was strong here. It changes from race to race. You know, they've now had 2 good races. We had a 3-race winning streak. Now they're going to come back at us. I think that's just what the championship needs. We're going to fight really now through to the end of the season. I'm quite
yes,
sure.
It's a fascinating season. The advantage swings back and forth. It's now quite clearly with Ferrari. What do you do about that? What's the schedule forward, and where can you make the improvements?
Well, there's no magic, there's no secrets, just hard work. The engineers, everyone's just been working hard, developing the car for every race. So we've got a test starting on Tuesday in Spa. We'll be pushing hard through that test. We've got new parts on the car, and hopefully they're going to bring performance, and we'll turn up at the next race with a quicker car. Ferrari won't stand still, unfortunately. They're going to be racing as well till we get to the next race in Germany.
It's great stuff. It's what Formula One is all about.
Absolutely.
Martin, thanks very much indeed. So let's get the Ferrari viewpoint as well. We can hear from Chris Dyer.
Well, Chris, as Kimi's engineer, you're a happy boy. Were you just plain quicker today?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it. I don't know whether it was absolute speed, or I think we had a bit of an advantage with tyre degradation. We saw in the middle stint there, initially Fernando was a little bit quicker, just opening up the gap, but he had a lot more, well, we had a lot more fuel on board, and then towards the middle of the stint I think his tyres started to go away, the lap times evened up, and we could match his pace with more fuel on board and then make the jump at the second stop.
Yeah, it does seem that the tyres were McLaren's problem today, but do you feel that Ferrari are really back in business for the rest of the season now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last 2 races have shown we're there. Obviously, to get back in the championship, we need to do better. We need 1-2s, so there's still a lot of work to be done.
Thanks, Chris.
Mark, it's a 12-point championship lead now for Lewis Hamilton. How significant is that, and how difficult is it going to be to defend that against a back-to-form Raikkonen and Alonso looking strong again as well?
I think he's still got a nice buffer there. Of course, he can take a whole race where he doesn't even score and he'll still be leading the World Championship. But I think the bigger concern is that now McLaren are a little bit on their back foot. Ferrari have taken the lead in what the performance stakes are seeing. I at McLaren will be thinking now, what do we do now? We're going into the test next week. We really should have something out our sleeves because, what Ferrari have done the last 2 races is very impressive.
And it's also how Lewis Hamilton responds when things start to work against him.
Well, I think Lewis will just be coming away from this race feeling like, well, maybe I've let myself down, maybe I've let the people down, but to be honest with you, I don't think he's let anybody down. I think he's still done a great job, but he'll be concerned about the fact that, again, he only came 3rd and not 1st, and that's his biggest worry at the moment. And if that's all you've got to worry about, don't worry too much.
Jenson Button would have loved to have been up on that podium. He can give Lewis Hamilton a little bit of advice on how to battle the odds. He's been up against it all season. Let's get his verdict on what's happened for him today.
Well, Jenson, a lot of effort, 10th place.
Yeah, it was quite nice to actually make some places up through speed, but Rubens, I think, got the best out of the car, and we were a little bit off that really. I don't know why. Every lap was full speed, but I was just struggling with rear grip. I had a lot of understeer in the car, but also with rear instability and high speed, so it's quite a big issue. We've got to solve it, but a reasonable job by the team. Fully by the team, 9th and 10th, and just a long way from the front guys.
But given where you started, you have moved well up. Your strategy paid off well.
Very well. I was surprised that more people didn't do a one-stop. It worked for us very well. Weren't the quickest cars on the circuit, but strategy paid off for us.
Thanks.
10th isn't bad, and of course they got a point last week. Should he be encouraged? Are they moving forward at all?
I think they are moving forward, but at a very slow pace, and a pace which is frustrating Jenson Button for sure, and Rubens Barrichello at that. But I think Jenson is maturing and he's taking it in his stride. He knows that things are going to come together, but it's not going to be towards the end of this season, and he really has to look towards the future and next season now.
Well, still to come in our post-race analysis, we're going to hear from Anthony Hamilton, Lewis's father. Another chance at our ITV F1 competition as well. That's all in a couple of minutes' time. Kimi Raikkonen has taken victory in this British Grand Prix ahead of Fernando Alonso. For Lewis Hamilton, it was another podium finish. 3rd place finish for Hamilton. We saw his father, Anthony Hamilton, celebrating that pole position with such euphoria yesterday. What might his mood be now? We can hear from Anthony with Ted Kravitz.
Well, Anthony, we've been hearing from McLaren, and it just seems the car wasn't quite quick enough. Lewis didn't sound too disappointed, though, in the press conference.
Well, you can't really be disappointed, can you? Because, you come home 3rd at your first British Grand Prix, still leading the World Championship. I mean, well, it's a fantastic position to be in, so very happy.
And Lewis, last time I spoke to him, was talking about the consistency, and he's still on the podium, and that's what you need, consistency, and that's the way you win World Championships.
Well, it's about having a mature head on you, I think, isn't it? You've got to take the best out of a bad situation. And, Lewis could have pushed to try and get a win here, but, I think he realised, bring the car home, collect the points, live to fight another day. But we're just really, really pleased that we've got a podium, at the British Grand Prix. Fantastic. And the crowd have been fantastic as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you and he have got a message for everybody supporting him this weekend.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. We've definitely got the best fans in the world. That was superb the whole weekend.
Okay. Well done. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Yes, they will be immensely grateful for the support that was shown around Silverstone, but in a way also I'm sure Lewis will be quite glad to get this one out of the way.
I think he will be. I think the pressure that's been building up towards this weekend, and actually the pressure throughout the weekend, has been immense, and for him to have handled it in such a great way, yeah, hats off to him.
It's been a fabulous British Grand Prix. The crowds have been amazing. The racing has been terrific. Lewis Hamilton has been a star. I wonder if Bernie Ecclestone is impressed. He's with Louise.
Well, Bernie, a successful British Grand Prix. What did you think of it?
Looks good, didn't it? It really looked good. The crowd was good. Everything was fantastic. The weather was good. So I don't think we can complain about anything.
And a great result for Ferrari as well. They seem to be coming back strongly, which is what we want for the championship, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to see our man win, but in the end he's still on the podium, and it's good that Ferrari have sort of got a few points.
So you're disappointed for Lewis? Do you think, was that the result that you wanted to see today?
Not really. I'd like to see him win this race, to be honest with you, and it's good that Kimi won.
Thanks very much, Bernie.
Thank you.
But what sort of message do you also want to hear from Bernie about the future of the British Grand Prix here?
We want to hear that it's definitely staying here, and you know, I think this weekend has been tremendous for Silverstone. You know, the weather has been an issue leading up, but as we've had decent weather, I think they cope with it very well. Yes, there's been some traffic problems, but we've had so many people turning up to see Lewis Hamilton that, you know, I don't know other events that don't have traffic problems either. So outstanding for Silverstone, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and we move into the second half of the season now, and this is how the Drivers' Championship stands. Let's give you confirmation that Lewis Hamilton is still safely in front with that 12-point lead over Fernando Alonso, but Kimi Raikkonen has now moved into third ahead of Felipe Massa, then Heidfeld, Kubica, Fisichella and Kovalainen. But it's, what would you say, a four-way battle for the title?
You know what, Steve, we have got a great world championship on our hands, because we've now got the four-way battle, which we felt came about at Magny-Cours, but it's just been reinforced at this race. The Ferraris are very, very strong indeed. We've got this big battle between Alonso and Hamilton, and McLaren, all of a sudden, you can just see there's a little bit of pressure building up there. Martin Whitmarsh alluded to it slightly. They need to do some more work.
And after that huge crash in Montreal for Robert Kubica, it's been another outstanding performance from the Polish driver in the BMW. Let's hear from Kubica now.
Robert, well done. Another strong performance.
Yeah, was very good. Second time in a row finishing fourth. This time was a bit harder because Felipe last 10 laps was very close to me, but I finished fourth, second time in a row, so I'm very happy.
How much were you looking in your mirrors, or how much were you looking at Hamilton in front of you and thinking maybe you could catch up with him?
Well, in the end of the race. In the end of the race, Hamilton was half a minute in front, so there was no chance to get him. I was just controlling what Felipe was doing.
Thank you.
Such a talent. That guy is part of the future of Formula One, isn't he?
He is indeed, and you know, coming after Montreal with that big accident and he had to sit the race out, I think he's come back with a big bang, and all of a sudden he is the leading light in that team, and Nick Heidfeld would be slightly worried about that.
Constructors' Championship, well, that's come alive again, I would suggest, with Ferrari's return to form, but it's still McLaren comfortably in front with a 25-point lead over Ferrari. I think we can comfortably say that that is turning into a bit of a two-horse race, but a fascinating one. McLaren ahead of Ferrari. OK, before we go, we've got time still to give you one more chance at the ITV F1 competition.
This weekend, Honda's giving you the chance to win a new Civic Type R. It's got a 2-litre iVTEC engine, 6-speed gearbox, and does 0 to 62 in 6.6 seconds, making it a rather exhilarating drive. But it's also comfortable and easy to use every day, and boasts 18-inch alloy wheels, sports seats, and special Type R badging. You'll be given your prize car taxed and fuelled at the Honda Formula One factory in Brackley, where you also get a tour of the facility. So it's over to Honda's sporting director, Gilles de Ferran.
To be in with a chance of winning the fantastic Honda Civic Type R, just answer the following question. Which year did Jenson Button win his first Grand Prix? Is it A, 2003, B, 2004, or C, 2006?
The number to dial 0901 293 2020. Or text F1 plus your answer of A, B or C to 63337. Calls cost £1 per entry from BT Landline. Calls from other networks and mobiles may be higher. Text will also cost £1 plus the standard network rate. You must be 18 or over to enter, and lines close 6 p.m. Thursday the 19th of July.
Good luck with that. We'll announce the winner at the Nürburgring in 2 weeks' time. Kimi Raikkonen has taken victory here, but a very important element of the race, especially from Lewis Hamilton's point of view, is that Felipe Massa stalled at the start, started from the pit lane, was really out of contention for any podium finish, but my goodness, he battled hard to finish in 5th. And let's hear from Felipe right now.
Felipe, it all got away from you at the start, really, didn't it? What was the problem with the car, do you know?
No, I don't know. I just lost the engine and I don't know why.
Brilliant recovery, but that's not really much consolation, I don't suppose.
Yeah, that's a great race. I mean, it's always good to remember that you're doing a race like that, very strong, but I think today it was possible to fight for the victory.
Well, as Kimi proved, I mean, Ferrari really have come back strong, haven't they?
Yeah, we have a good car.
And that is a story we take into the second half of the season. How can Ferrari be hauled back by McLaren?
Well, it is going to be a tough one for him, but I think what Massa was saying there, he could have won this race today because he definitely had the pace, and to do what he did, come from the back there and still finish way up in the points, great pace, he is another problem for McLaren, and I think, you know, they're going to be thinking about that.
How has Lewis Hamilton handled this weekend in every respect? The crowd pressures, the media pressures, and what happened in the cockpit maybe 2 laps into this race?
You know, I just think he's handled it fantastically well. You know, he's arrived here, he's delivered pole position, he went into the race and he took the lead and he delivered, you know, those first few laps. Unfortunately, he didn't have the equipment to get the job done, and he will know that, and he'll also know that he's 12 points clear in the World Championship. And let's not forget that. And every time he's been out in the race circuit, he keeps delivering and standing on the top on the podium. So, you know, I don't have any problems with it. Lewis is going to sleep well tonight for sure.
This achievement of finishing, well, in your rookie season, 9 podiums out of 9 is quite astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah, we've run out of words, Steve, to be honest, because there isn't any other words in there to keep explaining what he's doing. It's just an incredible situation, and for me, I think it's a little bit of history being written as we speak. You know, you're looking at something which is going to be in the history books. A rookie, 22 years old, never been off the podium, already won 2 Grand Prix and leading the World Championship. We've taken it that he's been around forever, but he hasn't, and you know, all this pit lane can see that this guy is very, very good.
Now we go on to the Nürburgring in 2 weeks' time. You would expect the Ferrari advantage to remain. They're always strong there.
They're always strong there, and it's a circuit which is smooth as well. It suits the Ferrari, and again, I think Ferrari will turn up there, be quick out the box. McLaren, Mercedes-Benz, home territory for them as well, so they will have something maybe a little bit special to turn up with, but they do know that Ferrari have got the upper hand, and McLaren will be working extra hard to make sure that they go there at least level pegging.
And the final word should be on behalf of Kimi Raikkonen. He's proved some doubters wrong within Ferrari ranks, and he's had a tough time. How has he got back, do you feel?
Oh, I think he's come back so strong now, but I think they've got the car right for him, as they did in Magny-Cours. He is at one with that Ferrari, and that is a powerful combination, and everybody else better be beware. But at the same time, Massa was also there, and let's not discount Alonso.
Mark, thanks very much indeed. Let's remind you of our highlights tonight, which are at 11:55 on ITV1, and then it's the Grand Prix of Europe in 2 weeks' time, what you might think of as the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Qualifying live, 12:30 on Saturday. The race live from midday. That's all in 2 weeks' time. But following us now, continued coverage of the Tour de France and that historic first stage to Canterbury, building up to a very exciting sprint finish indeed. That's immediately on ITV1. Tough day though for Lewis Hamilton here at Silverstone, but he stayed calm and he stayed on that podium for the 9th race out of 9, and he takes a healthy lead into what promises to be an absolutely fantastic second half to this Formula One season. Stay tuned for the Tour de France, but from Silverstone, it's goodbye.